Hello everybody, it's Mazina. I hope you're good. Welcome to this month's full moon video. I've tried to get this one in as early as I can so that you can prepare because I actually had a little bit of time too, so I thought I'd give that to you so you can make use of it. So the full moon that we have coming up is on August 9th. It is the full moon in Aquarius, known as the Sturgeon moon, and I will get into that shortly. But as you probably know by now, I like to also look at what the sun is doing, because I feel like when you blend the two energies together, you kind of get everything you need for whatever spell or ritual or whatever you're doing to enhance something in your life. Working with the whole realm and the whole sphere of things gives you just a little bit more potency, in my opinion, and a more evenly spread result. You know, it seems a little bit more balanced, and that's coming from me, someone who's done a lot of rituals and spells over the years. I find working like this actually gives a little bit more of an even result rather than just focusing solely on one thing. So before we get into what the full moon in Aquarius can do for you, we are going to look at what Leo is all about. So this is my season. I thought I'd rep the cat print in honor of it. And Leos, they are ruled very, very much by the heart. So these are emotional people. Lions are emotional creatures, and logic comes after the emotion when it comes to Leos. They will have their outburst first. You will hear their roar. Then when they have time to calm down, the logic then sets in. But you need to remember, when you're dealing with an animal that is so strong and full of pride and full of that protective element, they have to kind of be emotional in order to keep guard of everything that's going on. They have to pounce. If they were logical, it could be argued that would they be the king or queen of the jungle? So emotions and the heart then make a lot of their decisions with their heart as well. They are very loving people, and they do kind of love to a fault a lot of the time. You know, a Leo will give you absolutely everything that they have. Once you're in, you're in. Trying to get in is the fun part, but once you're in, and they will look after you. They take you on as one of their own. Now, if you look at videos of especially lioness mothers in the wild with their cubs, very, very fascinating, because not only do you have the mother and her cub, you may have the mother's sister, and that sister acts obviously as the auntie to the cub, and they will take it in shifts to look after the younger ones, and they typically won't leave the area that they're in until all of the children are accounted for. And it kind of teaches their cubs how to have that loyalty and that pack mentality that Leos are kind of known for. Family is a very, very important thing for this fire sign, and because it is a fixed fire sign as well, they typically don't change their ways. Who they are is who they are. If they're aware of their faults, that's brilliant. That means we've had some emotional maturity and they've evolved to understand where they go wrong. If we don't have that maturity, Leos can be very stubborn. They can be quite fearless, but not necessarily in a good way. Being fearless can be both a positive and a negative trait. But when you refuse to apologize for your behaviors, when you're that stubborn and when you can't see the wood for the trees, you haven't emotionally evolved. And that can be the difficult side of a Leo, trying to get an apology out of them if they haven't grown up enough yet to do that. But the ones who have, and that apology will come from the heart. So we understand then that we're dealing with a very prideful, loyal, protective energy when we look at Leo. They do take great pride in everything that they do as well. The one where you can kind of tell a Leo straight off the bat is by their hair. We tend to have a lot of it. It's our mane, and it's usually our pride and joy. Also by the way that they're dressed as well. They like quite flamboyant clothing. Sometimes they will edge more towards the designer realm of things, but they're not afraid to take something that's cheap and make it work. They're quite creative, and their creativity sometimes can be overlooked or misunderstood, because people will just think that this is someone with an ego problem, when actually what they're trying to do is work authentically within themselves, to express themselves and to relate to people, and sometimes that can come across the wrong way. So if you feel like maybe some of your favourite celebrities are Leos, or favourite musicians or actors, and you think, oh, they're a bit full of themselves, maybe they're full of themselves because they're giving all of themselves to the role and to the part that they're doing, and it can come across that way. And that's just kind of both the beauty and the downfall, I think, of a Leo, is they're expected to give their all because they are this prideful, big energy, you know, they're the kings and queens of the jungle. Then when they give their all, they're accused of being too much. That's really hard for them to understand because they don't typically do middle grounds. They're very all or nothing. So just bear that in mind when you're dealing with them. They will give you everything, or you won't get anything at all. And that can be a little bit intense for someone who's maybe not used to that. Now, we all know that they are a sign you typically don't cross, and that's because once a bridge is burnt, it's very hard for them to see you in a different light unless you are actively working to prove yourself. And at the end of the day, when a Leo goes rah, and they let you really feel their wrath, a lot of the things that they do, a lot of their actions cannot be undone. Do you know who that hurts the most? It hurts them. It's not even about the other person at the receiving end. They can get over it. The Leo can't. They hold on to it. They're stubborn, remember? And that brings to mind another video actually that I had seen recently of a male lion trying to drag an entire elephant carcass to his pack, and he was not giving up. Letting go and learning to let go of something that's painful or difficult is very, very hard for Leos. So don't be too hard on your friends or your family members that still maybe bring stuff up or find it very hard to let go of something that really hurt them. That is their way of processing, and it can take a number of years for them to do that. But once they heal completely and they're able to move on. They just need to go through all of those feelings first. Remember, we're ruled by the heart. They have to discover and look at every angle possible to know that they're understanding the situation properly so that they can heal from it efficiently. They're not deliberately trying to drag things up necessarily all the time. They can become a little bit unsure with how to deal with things, and they have to explore all of the possibilities. So there's kind of good and bad in there, as there is with every star sign. But I'd say more than anything, that stubbornness, their anger, and overall abrasive attitude is probably the worst parts of them. But the best parts of them, you find a Leo who has your back, you've got someone who will be there for you for life, and they will not let go because of that loyalty is so important to them. So we're going to look at now the Aquarius of the full moon. We're going to look at the polarity of the Leo and see how they differ and how they're similar, and how you can bring about that energy in the full moon along with the sun in Leo, which is also at its home at the moment. The sun belongs in that star sign, and just kind of how we can use all of that. So Aquarians, oh my goodness, they are air sign. They're very restless people. Nothing ever really feels good enough for an Aquarius, and there tends to be a lot of criticism with Aquarians, and actually that can line up quite well with the Leos as well, because both of them tend to feel that they're never ever good enough. They always feel like they have to prove themselves all the time to other people, to themselves, with their work. These are both signs that, you know, can overwork and become quite poorly as a result of it, because they just feel like they have to take on everything, so that everybody else doesn't have to take on the burden, when actually sharing that burden is something they both need to learn. Aquarians, they can be a little bit emotionally detached. So where, Leo is like, I'm so emotional, blah, blah, blah. Aquarians are kind of like, I feel nothing. That's not true. They do feel things. The issue with them is they don't know how to process their emotions. They don't really understand emotions at all. They understand how things affect other people. And when we look at the sign of Aquarius and what the symbology of that is, it is the water bearer. So it can carry other people fine. It can carry people through very turbulent times with such ease, but they don't know how to pour that water over themselves and deal with their own emotions. They're pretty rubbish at it, to be honest. And this can in turn sort of cause depressive elements with them, but mainly a lot of imposter syndrome and just never really feeling like they're enough. They are quite conflicted as people. Sometimes they'll feel that they're one way and then they'll wake up the next day and feel like they're the other way instead. And again, it's that sense of purpose. They know that they're aligned and they're meant for bigger things. We're dealing with a sign that is very connected to the new age as well, the metaphysical, the esoteric. They're always trying to find their path and see where they slot into, and they're failing to realise that actually they cover a wide spectrum of things. They can look after lots of things. They're just really rubbish at looking after themselves. When it comes to commitment, Aquarians can be very much a loose cannon. So they'll either see lots of different people at once, or they'll have one person that they are solely obsessed about, and that's it. Like once they locked, you're locked in. But a lot of the time, because they're not sure who they are and they're very emotionally detached, this is a sign that can have lots of flings, and it can walk away from relationships quite quickly without really thinking about it too much. Now, they are a fashionable sign, and I want to get onto this because there's one thing I've noticed about Aquarians. They're very kind of edgy with fashion. They are the astrological hippies, so they do like colourful clothes. They may sort of gravitate towards clothing with suns and moons and stars on it, but they can either, again, spend money on something they really like, or much like the Leo, they can go into a charity shop with a tenner and come out with 5 new outfits, and you'll think, oh my gosh, how did they do that? It's just a gift that they have, and they can kind of make it work, make it quirky, very much unique to themselves. Aquarians don't really like to fit into things. They like to be outside the box a little bit, just testing boundaries and seeing how far they can push stuff. So they are quite a quirky sign. They can be a little bit unpredictable at times. But one of their downfalls is that they can kind of take other people's work and claim it as their own. Now, again, this is more of an evolvement thing. If they've not emotionally matured, they won't understand where they've gone wrong. If they've matured, they will always ask, hey, can I use you as an inspiration for something, rather than just take it. And this is something I've seen across the board with Aquarians. Almost every single Aquarian I've encountered has copied something from someone else, claimed it as their own, and then wondered why it hasn't worked for them. And that's not very humanitarian of you, given that you are the humanitarian of the zodiac sign. Again, you want to look after people, you want to make things right in the world, but it's not very humanitarian to take something and claim it as your own. So that is the bit where they need to emotionally evolve to realise that doing that is not a nice thing to do. Instead, it's better to work with people and unionize. That's where your strengths can really come out, Aquarius. When you work together in a group with people, you oversee something and you let everybody's ideas shine as their own, rather than trying to take it as your own. You are a very intelligent sign though. You do have very beautiful psychic abilities, and you can carry a lot with ease, as I mentioned too. So that even though you don't like to delve deep into your own feelings, you're not afraid to feel something on behalf of someone else if they're struggling to feel it and they can't carry it. And that is such a selfless act, especially when people are going through stuff. If you get the emotionally evolved Aquarius on board, they will carry you, and you won't even have to open your eyes. They will make sure that you are looked after. They will make sure you are held, and they will do everything in their power to help you become the best version of yourself again. And when I look at all of the different star signs, there aren't many that I can attribute that quality to. It really is a case of you cocoon and I'll take care of the rest. And I think that's lovely. And I think that's where the polarities can come in so wonderfully as well, because Aquarius can carry you, the lion will protect the Aquarius. It's such a nice energy and a lovely friendship, I think, to have between the two signs. So what are we going to do with this full moon then? Bearing in mind that we are in a Mercury retrograde, okay, so I don't really want us manifesting for communication or asking for communication at the moment, because it's just going to go to pot. We need to get to the end of August first, and then we can kind of look at bringing that side of things in. So instead, with this moon, it was known as the Sturgeon moon. And sturgeons are actually fish that are found in the Great Lakes in America. They're quite rare to find them now. But did you know that they are living fossils, being 136 million years old? Like, they were found that long ago, and they look a little bit weird. You can kind of tell they're from that time. They're giving prehistoric vibes. But again, that's energy we can use. So maybe we look at here more of an ancestral moon. Let's look at the humanitarian side of Aquarius. What have we learnt over time from those that have been before us to help us appreciate what we have? And when we link into that, we then come into the other name for this moon, which is the harvest moon. And of course, we have Lunasaur coming up on the 1st of August as well. And we'll still be very much in that bracket of the Lunasaur vibe when we come to this full moon as well. Because let's not forget, before we had the calendars as we know them now, we did go by the moon, and the Sabbats weren't always exactly on the 1st. Sometimes they were the 5th, sometimes they were the 7th, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure if I had to look up now the actual date for Lunasaur this year, it'd probably be closer to that full moon than the 1st of August. Just take that period of time to really allow yourself to be with your family, with your friends. You look at the harvest, you give thanks for what the earth has allowed you to grow. And this doesn't just have to be with food, by the way. Look at what the earth has given you in terms of the oxygen from the trees outside. The plants need to grow in order for that to happen. Without them, we wouldn't be able to breathe. We give thanks to the sun, the light. We are in the sign of Leo, and Lunasaur obviously being the Celtic festival of the harvest that was organised by the Celtic sun King Lu in memory of his foster mother Tultu, who died clearing the fields. So there's a whole sort of story, I could tell you about that separately, but you can bring that into the full moon. So this will be a time of giving thanks, of looking at what fills your heart, of what you are grateful for, and maybe how you can take the seeds that you have sown, that you are now bearing the fruit from. How do you want to distribute this going towards the rest of the year? Like, where do you plan to put yourself? So I would use this full moon really off the back of the last one we had, where it was very much about putting plans down. We've got the fruit of it now. How are we letting this be access to the wider public, for want of a better word? Use that side of yourself that is very giving, that wants to help people, and that can grow and can also help you grow and mature within yourself. So make this full moon, I would say, about that. And just, I would say, don't really use it for manifesting or asking for stuff. I would say give back. Use this full moon to give back. And from that reflection, you give back to yourself anyway. So it's going to be a really lovely time if you open up your heart, the lion, and you allow the humanitarian of Aquarius to come together and just fill you up, fill you with everything that you need going forwards until the next full moon. So that's me out of time. This is a very long video. I swear these are getting longer, but I must be coming back to feeling myself again in order to do that. It's been lovely to talk to you. I also want to say thank you so much to all of your lovely emails. Every time I send out a video, I just get such lovely emails back, and they fill my heart. They make me realise exactly where I need to be and what I'm meant to be doing, and I'm really grateful. I really am. I actually did my first readings back last week. I haven't done my cards since sort of October time last year. and like anybody, I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to do my job because I've left it for so long, and it was just like coming home, and it was such a beautiful experience for me. So thank you. I am open to taking bookings. They're just very relaxed right now. So yeah, if you want a reading, just get in touch and I'm sure we can organise something. So enjoy the full moon on the 9th. Get together with your family, give back to the earth, and she will give back to you. Simple as. Have a good one, and I will see you for the next full moon, which will be in Pisces. Oh, we're about to get emotional. See you then.